Welcome, everybody. Good to see you all here. We're going to be talking about Switzerland and seeing some wonderful pictures of Switzerland and hearing about the Swiss Untour today. Our presenter will be Cathrin Baumbach, or Cathrin Baumbach, who is our Switzerland director here at Untours. And so she's going to be leading this presentation. She'll talk for about half an hour or so. At the end of that, we're going to have some time for questions and answers. And joining us live from Switzerland, we have Hans Urs Hofer. We call him Urs.
Right.
There he is, live from Switzerland. So he'll be joining us at the end to help with the questions and answers. So welcome, everybody. And with that, I will turn it over to Cathrin.
Thank you, Brian. So hello again, everyone. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Okay, can everybody see? Okay, great. So it's good to be with you all here this afternoon. As Brian said, I'm managing the Swiss Untour and some other programs. I've been with Untours for 20 years. And in all honesty, Switzerland, the Swiss Untour is at the top of my list. So we're here today to answer three main questions. Why Switzerland? Why Untours? And the question we get a lot is, where should we stay? So let's start with a little bit of geography. Switzerland is in Central Europe. It's a small country, only about 9 million people, but it's a beautiful and mighty country. It's bordered by France in the west, Germany to the north, and we have Austria in the east and Italy to the south. And these are all basically the main languages spoken in Switzerland. So French is spoken in the western part, German in the northern and eastern part, and then Italian in the southern part in the Ticino region. So why Switzerland? Switzerland is known for its beautiful landscapes. And this is a picture actually near our heartland region, Myran. So you'll see valleys. In this case, it's a beautiful farm landscape. Switzerland has a lot of water. So there are beautiful lakes, gorgeous waterfalls. In this case, what we see in the slide here, these are the Rhine waterfalls in Schaffhausen near the German border in the north. And of course, there are the mountains, which are probably one of the main reasons why many people are interested in going to Switzerland. One of the best things about Switzerland, in my opinion, is the transportation system. It is one of the best, if not the best in Europe. There are, of course, trains. It's a wonderful train network. And you can see in this picture, some of the trains have these beautiful panoramic windows. It makes it really nice to sit on a train, have a little snack, cup of coffee, and just look out of the window and see all the beautiful landscape pass by. You'll also see these funiculars. They are going up mountainsides and bring you closer to the top or the top of mountains. And you'll also see old-fashioned steam trains. In this case, this is a train that uses cock technology. And this one is one of my favorites, the postal buses. So the buses typically start out at train stations, and they will bring you deeper into the mountains. In some cases, they go over mountain passes and are just a great way to get to the more remote areas of Switzerland. And one of the really funny features of the postal buses are their horns. So imagine they're going deep into the mountains, windy roads. So in order to warn oncoming traffic, they use their horn, and the horns usually play melodies to the great amusement of tourists or maybe local school children that may be on board. And last but not least, we have the lake boats. A lot of them are converted steamships, but there are also more modern ones. And the great thing about the transportation system is that many of these timetables are coordinated. So you may be getting off a train, you walk across the street, like for instance in Brienz, and there is the lake dock right there, and the boat will be leaving, shortly after your train pulls in. So you're not waiting around for a long time. Another wonderful feature about Switzerland are the hiking possibilities. Lots of our clients like to hike, and there are hikes really for every ability level. For the people that really don't want to do huge up and down hills, there are easy trails. Just to give you an example, there is a grandfather and the grandmother walk. And the names indicate that really, anybody can do this. Some people even, the locals do it with strollers, or we've even seen wheelchairs on some of these trails. And this this funny picture is taken near our Swiss Oberland town of Kandersteg. This is the Öschinensee, and the Swiss love their dogs. So you'll encounter quite a few dogs on the hikes. It's really hard to get lost on those walks. The trails are well marked, and there are these signs everywhere, and they even give you the distance in time. I would say this is probably Swiss time, so add a little bit for Americans. And what do you want to do when you're done with the hike? Well, you're probably hungry, so you have to eat something. The Swiss food tends to be of the more hearty kind. So there are pasta dishes, potato dishes, there are meats, but there's also a great variety of salads and even vegan dishes. You can find pizza, you can find burgers, and of course you can bring your own sandwich if you'd like, because you do have a kitchen. You can prepare food and snacks in your own apartment and bring them on the hikes. While we're on the food topic, Switzerland is of course known for its chocolate. And if this is your vice, you may want to have to do some extra hiking to work off the extra calories. This is in this picture, artisanal chocolate, but there are specialty stores that offer chocolates, and even the local supermarkets have a great selection of chocolate bars. And in my experience, they always make great gifts to bring home to your family and friends. Oh, wait a minute. I think I skipped something. No. I think I had a cheese picture in there. I don't know where that went, but obviously if you like cheese, you've come to the right country. Another great reason that makes Switzerland so attractive are the traditions and the festivals. And you may encounter flag throwing, yodeling, elk horn blowing. You may see, if you go in the fall, you may see cows coming down the mountain. And these traditions are really alive and well in Switzerland. And they are really upheld by the young and old. They're a great way to mingle with the locals. There's usually food at these festivals. I think I'm having a little bit of a loading issue here. It's kind of slowed down. So just bear with me here. Okay. And apart from the landscape, there are also great cities in Switzerland. And I'd like to focus on 4 cities in the German-speaking area. And here we are starting with Basel in the north of Switzerland, kind of bordering on France and Germany in that corner. So Basel is a great city for wandering around. You see the Basel Cathedral here. You can actually go up to the top and you have a fabulous view of the whole town. Basel also has a number of really great museums. One of them is the Museum of Fine Arts, which we are coming to next, which is considered the best art museum in Switzerland and really one of the finest in Europe. You'll see medieval art, as we see in this picture, and modern art, if you happen to like Paul Klee, the famous Swiss artist. We go a little bit further south, we come to Zurich on the Limat River. Zurich is another great town to wander around. You may associate it more with banking, or some of you may associate it with design, but it really is a city with over 50 museums. And one of them is the Swiss National Museum. Which is considered the best folk cultural museum in Switzerland. So if you want to learn about Swiss culture and history, this would be the place to come to. And as we're heading a little further south, we come to the city of Lucerne. And Lucerne is the city that it's located on the Royte River. It's the city that is really closest to our heartland region. It's a beautiful city with lots of medieval character. And one of the sites that you may have seen in pictures is this bridge that we're going to see next. So this is a chapel bridge. It was built in the 14th century. It was painted a little bit later. And then in 1993, there was a terrible fire that destroyed large parts of this bridge, but it has been beautifully restored. And as you walk over the bridge, you see paintings overhead that illustrate Swiss history. Other things you may see in Lucerne is this sad lion monument, and we won't go into why the lion is sad. This would be a good reason for you to go and find out yourself. Another highlight of Lucerne is the Transportation Museum. Again, one of the largest in the world. if you are interested in transportation or any of your family members are, this would be a great place to visit and would make a great day for the whole family. And I just wanted to mention Lucerne also has a great concert hall that I don't have a picture of, but it's overlooking the lake and it's actually quite a stunning building. Yeah, it's over here. We can't see it. Next, we'll be going south and west, and we arrive in the beautiful Swiss capital, Bern. Bern is on the UNESCO World Heritage List, has beautiful medieval buildings. It's also known as the City of Fountains, as you can see here. And all of the fountains are typically decorated with flowers, very often geraniums. The Swiss really love their geraniums. And actually, let me go back. So Bern would be a great destination for a rainy day. If you see these arcades here, there are 4 miles of covered walks in the whole city. So you could be walking around and barely getting wet. There are shops, there are cafes. Again, 4 miles of covered walkways, which is quite unique. And if you happen to love art, this is the Paul Klee Museum, the Swiss artist Paul Klee. And about 40% of his entire work body is exhibited here. So as we saw, Switzerland not only attractive for its landscapes, but also has great cities and museums that you can visit. Okay, next we're coming to the second question, why Untours? So we've been doing this for quite a while, for a long time, since the mid-1970s. In the center here, this is our founder, Hal Tausig, who set up the company. And you can see people dressed a little differently then. No worries, we won't expect you to show up in a suit and a bow tie. But we have a lot of expertise on the US side and in Europe. And we have a real passion and great knowledge about Switzerland. And when you arrive in Switzerland, you're not left to your own devices. First of all, we prepare you really well for the trip. We have planning material that we send out to you. We'll talk to you on the phone. We have email communications. And once you get there, we meet you at the airport. And we'll either put you on the right train and you go to your final destinations with your fellow travelers, or we may be even riding the train with you. And then on the day after your arrival, we hold an orientation. So our goal is really to prepare you well for the trip so you can strike out confidently and comfortably. We want to give you the tools so you can live like a local. In this case, this is Tanya, and she's doing a little orientation walk in the town of Myran. And then she continued the orientation on a lake boat. So this may be Lake Brienz, I'm thinking. And we'll teach you about public transportation, how to use the trains. There are train apps for your phone, how to use that. We'll tell you, where to go, give you restaurant suggestions, tell you what's going on during your stay. Are there any special events, any festivals? And of course, answer any questions that you may have. I also want to mention we have a set of guidebooks for you. So there's one for the heartland, one for the overland, and then everybody receives our fabulous hiking and biking guide. And once you get to your destination on the boat, you're free to wander around, and by that time you should be comfortable enough to find your own way back home. And if not, we'll help you figure it out. So we even offer an optional group trip. And here in the picture on the left, this is Urs, who's live with us here tonight from Switzerland. And this is Urs's hometown of Thun. And in the background here is Thun Castle. And these optional group trips, the idea is it may be a place you had wanted to go anyway, but it's another opportunity to hang out with your fellow travelers and to deepen your knowledge about the transportation system. Just have a nice day out. So one of the best parts of the Swiss package is the Swiss Transportation Pass. It is, in my opinion, and I work on a number of different Untours, it's one of the best products in the tourist industry. It includes most of the trains, the postal buses that we saw early on, the lake boats. You receive discounts on funiculars and cable cars. And you also get entrance to over 500 museums. So it's really an unbeatable product. And we just put this picture in to illustrate we won't leave you stranded after orientation. We are there for you. So there's ongoing support. We may not be sitting around the table waiting for you, but we can be reached by phone or email, depending on the staff person. So if you have any questions, any concerns, should you get sick during your stay, we're there for you. And in our opinion, another very good reason to support Untours is the Unforced Foundation. The foundation was set up in the 1990s by Hal, our founder. The profits from Untours flow directly into the foundation. And so with your trips, you're supporting wonderful work. The mission of the foundation is to alleviate poverty by providing low interest loans in the Philadelphia area, throughout the United States and throughout the world. And Hal Tausig, our founder, always used to say it's a hand up, not a handout. A great motto, I think. And another bonus of traveling to Switzerland with Untours is you will see cows, and you will see them hopefully many times. And they have these wonderful cowbells. So one of my favorite memories is going up in a cable car to a mountain called Planplatten, and there were lots of cows beneath us, and they were moving about, and the bells just made a wonderful concert. And now we come to the third part of our presentation. Where should we stay? You may be aware that we offer two regions. One is the heartland, which is kind of this general area. And then one is the overland around Lake Thun and then south of here. And people always ask, what's the difference? So they are really similar in many ways. It's a matter of personal preference, but there are some other factors that play into it. Both are really conveniently located to the Jungfrau region, with the towns of Lauterbrunnen, and it's beautiful waterfalls, Grindelwald, and of course, the Alps. In all honesty, for first comers, we tend to recommend the heartland, and it's so the heartland would be over here, south of Lucerne and kind of up to Lake Brienz here. The heartland is really centrally located, offers great public transportation. There's a train line that goes from Lucerne down here along the lake to Interlaken. It's a great combination of natural beauty, beautiful villages and towns along the lakes, great access to hiking. But there are a lot of similar things to be said about the Oberland too. But really, for first timers, we like to recommend this area. And when I started out at Untours, I would overhear my colleagues on the phone call it Heidiland. And I think that's kind of very, very descriptive. So let's take a closer look at the heartland. And I want to go back, sorry, one time just to illustrate again. So there's a train line that goes from Lucerne. It goes past these lakes. And it goes through Sachsen, which is a village where we have apartments. And there's another little lake here. Hard to see, but this is the village of Lungern. And then we come down here to Myringen, and then the Harsley Bear above Myringen. So this is kind of like the area where we are in the heartland. Let's start with Sachsen, which would be the northernmost of our villages. Beautiful surroundings, as you can see. It's a nice town. Has good amenities, some restaurants, shops, a great bakery. And it's also located on a lake. Now, this is not a big lake. There are no lake boats on the lake, but beautiful scenery. And there is a really flat walk that goes here north to the town of Sarnen. And as we're traveling a few stops further down on the train, we get to Lungern, and Lungern has a very special place in my heart. It was the first town I stayed in when I first came to Switzerland, and I remember riding the train from the Zurich airport to Lungern, and the landscape was just so stunning. There were the lakes, and as we kind of got further south towards Lungern, you could see these high mountains, snow-capped mountains in the distance. And I thought to myself, wow, if this trip had to be over now for some reason, I'd be sad, but I wouldn't be devastated, because I had already seen so much natural beauty just on that train ride from Zurich. So Lungern is, as you can see, also located on a lake. The town is kind of here. It has a pretty big church for a small, village. For a small village, there are also some shops. There's a really great restaurant by the train station. And we have a really popular apartment in Lungern. It's called the Paradiesli apartment. Paradiesli translated would be little paradise. And I just want to say a few things about our apartments. So Unforced apartments in general are middle class dwellings. They can vary in size and decor. I would say in Switzerland, a lot are more traditional, but they all have one thing in common. They're always squeaky clean, comfortable, and they all come with kitchens, with fully equipped kitchens. So this is, if you don't want to eat out all the time, you're on a special diet, you're on a budget, the kitchen is really helpful. So you can prepare some of your own food. And that also allows you to live more like a local. You can go to the local stores, to the local bakery, maybe the butcher, maybe the dairy store. And you can, get to know the owners, or they can get to know you. They may recognize you if you shop there a number of times. And then you prepare your own food. This is still the Bloomley Apartment. It overlooks the lake, and you see the geraniums here. The Swiss are really great with geraniums. They get brought indoors in the fall. And these are probably not the best example, but some of the geraniums you will see, they almost look like little trees. They're really beautiful and big and strong and healthy. So while traveling, again on that same train line, while traveling over the Brunig Pass down into the valley on the other side, and this is also one of those cog trains, and we come to Myran, which is one of our most popular places, popular towns. And I apologize, it's loading a little bit slowly, so please bear with me. And one of the reasons that Myran is quite popular is it's in a valley, so everything's flat. If you don't want to schlep up and down hills to get to the transportation, Myran would be a great town to stay in. It also has lots of amenities. It has 2 big supermarkets, a number of specialty stores, like a great dairy store, bakeries, souvenir shops, bicycle rental. And it's also a transportation hub. Remember the postal buses we saw earlier in the picture? A lot of them leave from Myran to bring you to deeper into the mountains. There's also a great gorge back here, which we can't see, but you can either walk there or there's public transportation there. It's the Aare Gorge, and I highly recommend it. It's really a beautiful place if you want to see some waterfalls and really some gushing water. And then above Myran, on the mountain, is the so-called Harsley Bear. And the Harsley Bear is not as convenient. It's not directly on the train line. You have to take a train and then a bus. Or in this case, this is our village of Royte. You could also take a cable car from Myran to go up to Royte. But this would be a great place for people who enjoy views. And this picture almost doesn't do it justice. There's the great mountain panorama of the Eigermönch and Jungfrau that you can see on the other side. We have a second village on the Harsley Berg, which is called Kurflu. And that is a little bit closer to the train station. That would only be an 8-minute bus ride to the train station. Whereas Royte is about 20 minutes, but you can't beat the scenery that you see from the bus. And this is a picture to illustrate the great hiking that is available on the Harsley Berg. So really, if you are into hiking, you want to go right out of your back door and get on a hike. Or easy hikes or difficult hikes, the Harsley Berg would be a great place to stay. And now let's move over to the Oberland. So we've just come from here, from Myran. And then the train line continues along Lake Brienz. Brienz, by the way, is a great wood carving town. So you see the sculptures on the lake promenade. And then we come to Interlaken. This is where the two lakes meet. So this is Lake Brienz and Lake Thun on the other side. And our overland accommodations are kind of around Lake Thun and then south in Frutigen and a little further south still, Kandersteg. And the overland would also be a good place for people to stay that want to be a little bit closer to the French-speaking area. So this is our first town here, Spiez on Lake Thun. It has a train station, has good restaurants, supermarkets. And if you can see this little patch of green here, believe it or not, this is a vineyard. And I have not had the pleasure of tasting this wine, but Brian tells me it's one of his favorite white wines in all the world. It's a crisp white wine. Apparently it's not easy to get, but if you happen to be in Spiez and I believe they used to sell it in the castle. I don't know if they do that anymore. But if you happen to like white wine and you get your hands on a bottle, don't hesitate. Apparently it's worth it. This is an example of an apartment we have in Spiez. It's the Bloomley Apartment. Looks really beautiful. And it even overlooks the lake. Quite honestly, I wouldn't mind staying there on my next trip. So we have another village where we have an apartment on Lake Thun is in Hilterfingen, which we don't have a picture of, but close to Hilterfingen is Oberhofen and Oberhofen Castle, which is a very, very scenic castle, and it is really best seen from the lake boat. So this is the north shore of Lake Thun. So now we're heading further south. So we came from Lake Thun up here, and we arrive in Frutigen. Frutigen is a nice farming village. It's beautiful scenery, as really all of our villages have. It has good amenities, some shops and restaurants. And further south, we have one more town. It's the town of Kandersteg. And Kandersteg is a little bit larger. It is really known for its good restaurants. It has a bit of a resorty feel, but in a good way. It attracts really hiking folks that are also into good food. We have a number of apartments here. And do you remember that picture with the little dog above a lake that we saw early on? This would be right above Kandersteg, the Erschienensee. And just to kind of show you the region again. So the overland over here. And then we have the heartland up here. Really very great access to the Jungfrau region with beautiful towns or lovely towns of Grindelwald and Lauterbrunnen and all its waterfalls. There are glaciers coming down here, and of course you have the famous Eiger here. These are really some of the highest elevations in the Alps. This is a great picture of the Lauterbrunnen Valley, which in the spring is just filled with gushing waterfalls and people who are familiar with Yosemite may see a resemblance here. And here we have a picture of Grindelwald. Beautiful views all around. Okay, well, this actually brings us to the end of my presentation. And because you've been so patiently listening to me, we would like to offer you a special discount if you book. It would be a $50 discount per person with the code SwissCow. And you can either put that in your booking notes if you happen to book online, or you can tell any of us on the phone, and we'll apply this discount. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay.
Okay, so if anyone has questions, this is a great time to ask questions of Cathrin and or Urs in Switzerland. And you can, to ask them, you can either unmute yourself or you can ask in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Okay.
Wow, I think you answered all of the questions, Cathrin, somehow.
Brilliant.
That's amazing.
Okay, here is Urs from Switzerland. I thought I'd take a chance to introduce myself from Switzerland. Everybody who has come here from Untours knows I'm quite a yodeler. I love yodeling, but I cannot yodel for you in person now because it's almost 10 o'clock here, and that's too late for me. And I would, you know, not with my neighbors. So I was playing this guy who yodels. So, and another thing from my side, if you do come to Switzerland on a Swiss Untour, you know, the cows are really so important. That's what Cathrin just said. You will hear a joke that we always tell. I'm only asking you the question, and then the answer, you can get it when you come to Switzerland. Why do the cows have bells? Okay, I won't tell you the answer. Okay, so much from me. Please ask some questions.
Okay, we have a question actually. Somebody asked, do we still have apartments in Royte? Yes, we do. We have the Woodrick apartments, the Woodrick Small and the Woodrick Large. And we have Pollux, kind of spacing right now. We have the Bütikofer.
Okay, Cathrin, we can't hear you. We've just lost your audio for a minute. She was just talking about the apartments in Royte. Okay, I think we can hear you now. Try again, Cathrin.
Oh, sorry, was I?
Yeah, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. So yes, we do have apartments in Royte. We have a number of apartments. We have the Woodrick apartments, the Bütikofer, the Pollux. I think that's all that comes to mind right now. But yeah, apartment sleeping anywhere from 2 people to bigger groups of about 8.
I've just posted a link to all of our Swiss apartments, so you can browse those and see there are several in Royte that you'll see. Oh, I see another question there, Cathrin.
Okay, let me take a look. Best area to stay with grandchildren. Okay, I would tend to say the heartland. Actually, Royte would be a great place because you'd be you have access to the mountains. If the grandchildren are a little bit older, Myran would also be a great place to stay because it's depending on the interest of the grandchildren, or even Kandersteg. It kind of really depends on, I would say, the ages of the grandchildren and their interests. If they want to be more in a little town where there's maybe a little bit more going on, where they could kind of venture out on their own. But really, I would say any place would be a great place with grandchildren, anywhere in Switzerland, really.
Yeah, I can say something to that as well. That's just like she said, if now people with families are traveling around Switzerland, there's a lot more domestic tourism now, then they can be sure wherever they go, there's so much being done for the kids that are visiting Switzerland. There's everywhere, there's playgrounds, that's one thing. And then one thing I would like to point out, there is so many theme paths by now. The most famous theme path actually starts at Royte, Myran, and Harsley Bear, and it's called the Muckestutzpfad, goes right to the forest. It has so many different stations where you can play. And it's actually that picture that Cathrin showed with the kids on the hiking path. They are on the famous Muckestutz theme path. But otherwise, also, you know, museums, etc., you name it, it's really everywhere. And then what Cathrin said, if you want to have be in a place that is nice with a lot of nature around you, I would support what you said, you know, one Hasleberg, and then Kandersteg. Kandersteg has a lot of nature right around the village. Yeah, but like I live in Thun, you know, so if those people who come to an apartment on Lake Thun, rather it could be Spiez or Hilterfingen, then you also get a lot of interesting things in the city, around the city, plus the nature. That's really the difference too that I want to mention about Oberland and Heartland. Heartland is mostly, you know, more nature oriented, and Thun in itself is already a city. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Also.
one last thing maybe, that public transportation is really, it's really amazing. Just gets you everywhere you want. And so it doesn't make that much of a difference where you stay in. Yeah.
And I see another question here from Judith. She's asking, what months do you offer Untours? So Judith, they really, we operate from, in the heartland, we start a little bit earlier, from early May to the end of September. Oberland starts a little bit later, 18 May next year to the end of September.
The fall is traditionally very, very nice to come here, and a lot of Untours folks have realized that. You know, it's like this Indian summer thing. It's not so hot. The air is clear. Often there's good weather, perfect for hiking and all that. And plus, you know, the cows are coming down from the mountains. There's a lot of that. The tradition you can see in the fall. And right now, you should come now. I mean, we've had so much snow. It's unusual, you know, to have so much snow in December. You could hike in the snow, ski, cross country, everything like that. But that would be a new dimension for Untours to offer something in the winter. I would be there.
Okay.
Okay, I don't see any more questions.
No more questions. Wow. Okay. Well, we are here.
Yeah, don't be shy. Last call for questions.
Okay. Well, Urs, maybe you can give us a quick little yodel before we end this.
Yes, absolutely. But I do it with a little thing with that one here. It's just, otherwise it's too loud if I do it myself. You'd have to come to Switzerland to yodel with me. Actually, this fall, we once had a group of about 10 or 12. And so they made the choir, and then I yodeled over the choir. So please come so I can see you. But let's have this guy yodel.
Can't really hear him, Morris. We can't hear him yodeling.
No, you can't hear it? Okay,
No.
I'm going to do the yodeling. Yodeloo, yodeloo, yodeloo.
Okay, that's what we want.
Good. Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Cathrin, for your great presentation, and Urs for joining us from Switzerland. And thanks to all of you. Hope to see you in Switzerland. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hope to see you soon.